Mecklenburg County Representative Carla Cunningham is leading the charge on women's health here during the 2017 legislative session. We talked to her next on this week's Common Ground. Hello again. Representative Carla Cunningham of Mecklenburg County is this episode's guest. Thanks for coming down and seeing us this week.
Thank you for having me.
Oh boy, Mecklenburg County. HB2 and all the reaction and the ordinance came out of Mecklenburg County. So what's the vibe down there now that we've dealt with HB2 as well as, to many people, repealed it?
Some people are happy, some people are not happy. I think the business community are very happy. People that are looking at their individual rights, feel like they have been trampled on, are not happy. I think we're going to deal with that for a little while, but I see that things will change as time moves forward. People are always going to be fighting for their individual rights. That's always going to happen. I think when we looked at that issue, HB2 was around for a full year, and we saw the economic impact, just not on businesses, but people in our community looking for jobs, looking to secure, homes and keeping food on their table. So I think the thing was the right thing to do is to move HB2 on out of the way, and let's start fresh and start dialoguing with each other once again to find that common ground.
At that grassroots level, people you bump into, were they as excited, and excited being ginned up or antagonized by HB2 as it seemed the state was? Because it was right there in Charlotte's where all this began. Yeah,
in Charlotte is where it all began. But I think overall, looking at what happens in Charlotte, some people have the perception that Charlotte is very progressive, and I can look at other parts of the state and say they are way more progressive than what we are. So sometimes the issues get pushed to certain individuals that take up that item, and then it kind of spills over to the rest of the state. Few things start in Charlotte and end in Charlotte. Usually start there and they go someplace else and extend outward. So we did have that upsurge, that uptick in some antagonism and some anxiety about what was going to happen. Well, it's happened now. So we have to learn to accept the space that we're in, learn how to adapt to it, and move on, because we've got to move toward economic development, affordable housing, and other issues that individuals need.
What are businesses telling you? We're back to status quo, essentially, with a moratorium of 3 years. Are businesses happy, or is it just, whew, I can move on, we don't have to worry about the basketball tournaments and all of that?
Well, I think it's kind of at a slow restart right now. They're starting to deal with the issues that are in the bill. They're starting to see where they can come back and start rebuilding their image with the state of North Carolina. They said we had an open door. Well, the door has reopened. So now it's the opportunity for economic development to come back into the state and for our people to start getting back onto the path of being economically viable.
Charlotte is a city. If you're not from Charlotte, there was a joke Charlotte was its own state, or somehow it was separate from North Carolina. Of course, we know that's not true. Right. What does set Charlotte apart from a Greensboro, an Asheville, a Raleigh, a Greenville, or a Wilmington?
I think it's the economics. I think it's the economic development. We're a huge hub. It's very diverse. We attract all types of people from all over the country, very diverse. We're growing rapidly, just as rapidly as Wake is. We have lots of large corporations that come in. So we have a very diverse people coming in. Demographics are changing quickly, very quickly there. So I think that sets us aside from the rest of the state, other than the Wake County, who is just about ranking with us.
So what's the vibe here in Raleigh? That fight is over. There's a million other fights the lawmakers can get into over the state issues, but with HB2 now repealed, where do you see the focus going? Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, the bills, the issues.
Right now we have a lot of health issues that are on the table. Definitely we have the mental health crisis. That is number one for my hospital in Mecklenburg County. That's number one on the table for them. The second thing is the opioid epidemic. That's huge this cycle. We are looking, we've got to do something because it's out of control. Wilmington is number one in the country, and we have 2 counties that's in that top 25 for opioid addiction. So we've got to get focused in on what we can do and how we can fund the mental health crisis as well as the opioid addiction long-term treatment, because it's going to require long-term treatment for the opioid addiction.
You know, opioids are bad. I've not seen that Charlotte was ranked up there. It's Hickory, it's Wilmington. Wilmington, last I checked, was #1, far across the state from you. So you're going to push mental health. What is it about mental health in your area? Why is there such a need there right now?
Well, we don't have enough inpatient beds, and if you have someone that goes to the emergency room, they generally have a 5, maybe 7-hour wait just to get seen, just to get assessed. Then after that, if you don't have a psychiatric bed at a behavioral health facility, then you are put inside of the hospital and you stay there until one becomes available. That can be up to 7 days. That means once you're in that holding, I call it a holding block, because you don't get therapy while you're there. You get a telepsychiatrist to come in and they tell you, if they do an assessment via that way.
Well, a telepsychiatrist, is that a doctor looking at me through a computer screen
it's
or
through
a television?
Video.
Okay.
Yes, they actually talk to you through the video screen, and then they prescribe after they get through talking to you. And you actually stay there until a bed becomes available. So the only type of treatment you're getting while you're there is medication. And my thing is, if you show up with a heart attack, you don't wait to be treated. Okay, but if you show up with a mental illness, you wait to be treated.
Do you consider an acute mental case of mental illness, or someone is being afflicted right then, as important an emergency as a stroke, as a heart attack, as an aneurysm? Do you think it's that important? I mean, it's important to the person, but how do you prioritize? Because mental health has been elusive, at least finding the way to properly treat this state. Republicans and Democrats have never, it seems, gotten this right.
Well, just like with heart disease or any other type of chronic illness, you need to be doing preventative care. And that also goes along with mental health. A lot of these people wouldn't end up in emergency rooms. They wouldn't end up needing a psychiatric bed if we were doing what we were supposed to be doing in preventative care and doing wraparound services and doing evidence-based care and practices. We could prevent some of this, but we've got to be on the preventive side and not on the reaction side. And right now we're on the reaction side. You know,
people may not know you. I mean, many people don't know a legislator, and they should know more about their state legislator. But you're a nurse, and that's why if you hear somebody, you're dialing in deep on some of these issues.
Yeah.
So nurse is nurturing. Politics is anything but. How do you bridge the gap?
Well, it sort of goes hand in hand. I never thought that I would be a politician. I always thought that I would be nursing. I would be hands-on experience. First, you know, bedside nursing. I did that for 30-something years. But at a point, it comes to light that you can have an impact in another way, and that is looking at policies and policies that affect patients, policies that affect people. Patients are people. So I think, you know, it goes hand in hand. You can impact policy that's going to affect healthcare. And I love healthcare. But I think at a time, you know, 36 years in, I was at the top of my practice. I was doing hospice at the time. Love it. But what can I do to make it better, quality of life for more people in the state of North Carolina? And that's pushing policy that can help people maintain a certain healthcare status and a quality of life.
Give us some policies there. Is it all about the money? Democrats, they say, love to spend money on health care. Is it about the money, or is it about the approach?
A lot of it is, I tell you right now, when we start talking about ACA and the repeal, it couldn't happen. We were talking about going to block grants. It may happen. We're talking about going to per capita. That's at the federal level. But we got billions of dollars sitting out there right now that as taxpayers, we all contributed already, sitting there, that we could take back and cover 379,000 people in our state that are not getting any care. I say take the money now.
That's the Medicaid expansion that was approved under the Affordable Care Act.
That's right. Take the money now. Why? They can't ask for it back if they do a repeal. They can't ask for the money back. Go ahead and take it. We have a substance abuse problem in the state, a mental illness problem in the state that we could use those funds for right now. Where are those funds going to come from? We have a 15% increase in rainy day savings. We're talking about another tax credit, tax adjustment. We've got to have those funds going into healthcare in the state of North Carolina.
You would rather spend money on new healthcare initiatives than saving in the rainy day fund. If that debate gets to that I would say that elementary of a level.
Well, we were already saving in the rainy day fund. We just increased it to 15%. So we were already saving. It's okay that we save. I don't have a problem with saving, But if you don't put your money on the front side, you're going to spend more on the back side. And that's how healthcare works. You either prevent or you spend extra on the other side.
I asked Wayne Goodwin, the chair of the Democratic Party, this question about Medicare and Medicaid. Medicare, Republicans, they love it. I know some Republicans in my family, and they love their Medicare.
Absolutely.
But we talk about Medicaid, which is the government paying for somebody's health care. We don't like that too much. A lot of people don't. They'll say that, or it's too expensive. What's the difference in branding?
Well, they look at it as an entitlement. That's what they call it, an entitlement. If the state or the government is involved in it and they pay, it's an entitlement. The difference, though, is Medicare, you already supposed to be paying into it, so it's more acceptable. The branding is more acceptable. But if you look at the other side of it, taxpayers are already paying into Medicaid. Everybody is already paying into Medicaid. It's a federal and a state split. What we spend, they match. So it kind of goes hand in hand. We're already paying a bill, and it's not going to change. I don't see that it's going to change. The only way Medicaid is going to go away is they create something else, create something different that can help manage those health issues for the poorest of the poor.
Do you think President Trump is right to say, if you don't want to repeal it, fine, the system's going to collapse on itself and then we'll come up with a whole new system? Is that the way this could play out? Is that a realistic way of seeing the health care debate play out?
I'm not sure if it will play out
nobody
that way.
knows, I guess.
No, it's very unpredictable right now. And what I'll say is past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior. What you see is what it's going to be. So if we just saw the failure of it to be repealed in that environment, then we're going to have many more challenges that come forth before they can get to that point.
I remember during the debate about Medicaid expansion, a lot of Republican senators said it's not as much about that as we just don't trust the federal government to pay 90% of the tab. We know they're going to stick it to us once we get used to having an expanded Medicaid base. How do you're a nurse and you're influential and you're engaging. Can you convince a conservative to say, hey, federal government won't stab you in the back financially? Can you do that?
I don't think so. I think perception is hard to change in individuals. I think how they see it is how they see it. You generally do not change people's perception. You can give them the story, but they need to see people telling that story. They don't need to hear me telling them that story. They need to see real people saying this is their experience and this is their story. That's what changes minds. It's, you know, I can say a few things. I'm not that influential. Let's clear that up. But I can say a few things that they may think about. Why did she say that? But I think it's the people that need to be telling their story to all the legislators. Let their voices be heard, and they can get it across and influence their legislators to change. But I do believe there is some conversation about mental health, DD, and substance abuse when we were looking at a possible waiver. That is optional. That is something that we're going to have to take a look at because we got to have money, funds for services for these opioid addicted individuals.
How are opioids affecting your district?
I looked at my stats and it's there. It's not any significantly higher, but it's sort of in the middle. And plus I'm near Highway 85. So 85 runs through there and I know it's a lot of trafficking. It's a lot of other things that going on out there near that highway that I don't particularly like. We've had a significant increase in police being in my area because of lots of activity near Sugar Creek Road. So we know that Highway 85 and the Highway 95 are thoroughways for the drugs coming in and the trafficking. So I'm close to there, so I see a lot of activity that's questionable, you know, in that area, and I'm sure some of it is drug related.
So opioid addiction, you think that even though it doesn't affect you any disproportionately in your community, you even though you're representing that part of Charlotte, say, it's worth me devoting some attention for other districts to help them with their top 10 opioid addiction rates?
Well, it's a couple of ways that people need to be looking at the opioid epidemic. Number one, still in the African American community, we still have high unemployment rates. And when you look at that, you're going to have increase in crime rates. It's a 1% increase. So if we got, you know, drug activity going on and you got unemployment going on, We've had an increased shootings in Mecklenburg County. That number has spiked. It's above what we were last year right now. Some of that is drug related. Some of that is related to not being employed. So I kind of look at things as being connected. When one thing happens over here, another one is going to happen over there. So it's there, and if we already don't have jobs, we already got the activities going on, we're close to 85, we know that there are activities going on that are illegal in that area.
From your perspective, for the folks you represent, are the police a friend again? Because Charlotte has had some really difficult times with police relations in parts of the community.
Are they friends again?
Are they friends again?
I don't think
Remember, the headlines just absolutely beat Charlotte up.
Let me say this. Jonathan Farrell was shot a couple of miles near my district. Keith Lamont Scott shot in my district. So I don't think that that relationship is there yet. When I left session prior to the shooting, Mr. Lamont, I went and met with Chief Putney. I sat with the DA, Andy Murray, and I also met with Sheriff Carmichael. And I had a conversation with them about community relations and the police. And I established that there were some issues. I wanted them to address them. I got good information from some of them. They were on board, but then, you know, sometimes when new people come in, you haven't had time to establish those relationships. So we brought in a new chief of police who was, CMPD, who is Putney. And I met with him, and I thought, okay, this is the beginning of a relationship. And then the shooting happened. And so I'm like, oh, wow, this is in my district. I got an uproar out there. I wasn't, immediately locked into the communication. So when I found out, I absolutely went out there. I was out there several times looking at the environment. And actually, it wasn't a very impoverished area where the shooting took place. Next door it was. And so I've spent some time out there. When the shooting occurred, children were getting off the bus. They saw it. It was traumatic. People were afraid to come out at night. So I don't think that that relationship has been built yet. I don't believe a body cam bill is going to build that relationship. I think it's community policing. I think it's us reaching out, saying, here we are, let's have the conversation, and finding out that there's new leadership. Stop keep going to the same people. Build some new relationships with the millennials, with younger adults that are in these communities, and they can lead their own communities.
I think if you've talked to people who are legitimately, they may be angry at the police, but they're really afraid of the police.
Right, correct.
I can't relate to that. I don't think a policeman's going to shoot me, but I have my perspective because of who I am.
I don't have that.
How do you deal with that? How do you talk to somebody they're manifesting it in anger? It's really a fear that the man himself, authority, is going to shoot me if they pull me over and just don't like what they see. Now, I may catch heat for that question, but it's a fair one in my opinion.
Let me tell you a story. Before the last session, I got a call. And my son, the police had been called, and he was taken over to the mental health hospital. I got in my car, and I was panicked because he has mental illness. Keith Lamont Scott had traumatic brain injury. I was scared. I got in my car, and I was calling on the phone saying, is he there yet? At the hospital. Did the police get him there yet? Because those are unpredictable situations. We have police officers trained in crisis intervention training. We have police officers trained in mental health. We had the deaf guy was shot in my district. So we have a population of people with disabilities that they've got to learn how to interact with and how to manage them. These are difficult because the population is changing. We're not running to just normal people and saying, okay, this is how I treat this normal person. It's very diverse, and now we have multiple disabilities inside of the population that we've got to learn to deal with. And it's a lot of responsibility. So
if someone can't hear, they won't take an order. Is it the behavior? The police officer must be amped up on adrenaline. It's scary for everyone. So are you worried about someone with mental illness? Maybe they're not being treated right, or maybe they're just in a bad spot, bad place at the wrong time. Is it their erratic behavior in a stressful situation that triggers the police officer to do something that leads to a death? I don't know. How do we cure that?
I don't think it's that. What I think it is there's a lack of knowledge in how to interact with these people with the multiple disabilities. They're not trained in that way, okay? They are not trained. What they get in training is specific for mental health right now, but we've got to look at autism because we got a lot of artistic children coming in that are now becoming adults, and some of them are not verbal. So you got those type of issues. I think also they're just as afraid. I think they're afraid as well because they don't know what they're going to encounter. And they're not trained in the aspect of the medical background of how to diagnose and understand every type of disability that's out there. So it's kind of, constrained.
I'm not going to let you off the hook on your criticism of body cam legislation.
Yeah, I'm sure you're not.
Can't let you go on that. Why won't it work in your opinion?
I don't believe that a body cam tells the whole story. We have seen that they can be turned off. We have seen that, and some officers do turn them off. And then, but now you got the cameras. Everybody got a camera. Everybody got a phone camera. So everybody is taking them.
Shooting was on the iPhone.
That's right. So is everything that was filmed there? Who knows how much is there? You really don't know how much has gotten the full filming.
So if you have, and you can't control your emotion, if you have such feelings of fear, of animosity towards your local police, and you're a state representative.
I didn't say I have animosity.
Not animosity, fear. Excuse me.
I don't have that. I have that.
Help me understand
fear.
where you're coming from.
I have fear under certain circumstances. It's not fear all the time.
Can you bring a community together if you yourself feel that way? It puts you on one side of the ledger.
I think so, because if you can take a look on both sides, I've been in both situations. My son has the numerous interactions, but also on the other side, I've got people that I know close that are police officers. So I think trying to take a stance in the middle and being objective. I think, if you're subjective, you're going to have a hard time. You're going to have a hard time trying to understand. And I think you need to operate within the space that you're in. And I talked about that last week of being in a space of acceptance. So I know what's there. So I have to learn how to deal with it in the space that it's in. So right now, we are not 100% that relationship is where it needs to be. There needs to be way much more community relations between the police and the community.
You want a drug crackdown, especially at that corridor you're talking on I-85. Would that help build trust, or is that a call for police to do their job where there's a hot spot?
We have the police right now in the hot spots. I'm not sure how much they're going to do and be able to do to deter that. That's why I keep on saying we need to be in preventative mode. The less people we got getting on drugs, the much better it would be than having our police out having to round up drug dealers, gang people, and that type of thing. So it makes it's a complex issue. Nothing's going to change it just like that. It's a long-term issue, and it's complex.
Is the drug war, if you want to call it a war anymore, I guess we deal with it, is it a medical issue for this state and policy, or is it a law enforcement issue?
It's a medical issue.
I'm seeing conservatives roll out bills that take a different, they're putting away the lock 'em up philosophy and going more, this opioid stop act is about treatment, it's about restriction, it's about regulation. It's not about throwing addicts in jail anymore.
That's correct. It's from a medical perspective.
What happened? How did that change from the 90s?
The demographics changed, okay? So when crack hit the African American community, it was lock 'em up. And now that we have the opposite happening to a larger Caucasian population, and we're seeing that direct family impact, it's personal. It's no longer in a silo. And when it becomes personal, you want to act. And so these communities are being overwhelmed, and it is personal to them and their families. So now we have to shift gears, which we should have shifted gears a long, long time ago on opioids or substance abuse treatment. Because in most cases, opioid and mental health issues sort of go comorbidity, sort of go together. So you usually have those type of issues going on all the time. So you've got to address both. And usually what you're going to see in these communities is that locking people up, at some point you're going to have to let them out. And what are they going to come back out to? Have they been rehabilitated? You can't take an opioid person lock him up for 30 days, 6 months, and he's going to come back out and function normally. It won't work because they're not going to get adequate treatment if they locked up.
In the crafting of this policy, is it a "see, I told you so" from back in the 80s and 90s? And now you're learning the lesson with the opioids. You different community, or do you lock in on that policy and say, hey, if you're going to spend millions here, let's pull some down into Charlotte and help a community that needs some help?
This is what I really think. We had a prison pipeline, and when you have the drugs back in that time, we were building private prisons. They have made a lot of money. They've contracted out, and now we find these people got to come back into normal communities. We can't have the same thing to happen again. This would be repetitive, and you still would not have corrected the problem because you're still going to have those people that are going to have to return. So yes, this is medical. This is not going to work with a criminal or a justice system to improve.
It's been an absolute pleasure spending that. We could spend an hour, but we get a half hour this time around. Good to hear your insight. It's certainly unique. It's different, needs to be heard, and I thank you so much for spending this half hour with me.
Thank you.
North Carolina Channel is made possible by the financial contributions of viewers like you who support the UNC TV network.